The overworld of a Zelda game, if you don't mind me being Captain Obvious for a moment, is where you will most likely spend most of your time in a game, or at least a decent chunk of it. It's how you get from one place to another, it's the center of everything, it can host a myriad of NPCs and side quests for your exploring pleasure, and just like with the dungeons you traverse, the music of the overworld is pretty critical to your enjoyment of it. But there is an added level of difficulty here for the series composers, not just because of the fact that you spend so much time there, but also because there's not a very specific theme to go off of like fire, forest, or water. The thing is, the music backing your journey across Hyrule or Termina or some other world in The Legend of Zelda is going to leave a lasting impression on you regardless of whether you enjoyed it or not. You either remember it fondly or you don't. And as I was preparing to rank the 3D worlds of Zelda, I was surprised by what I liked and didn't like when re-listening to each of them. Hence my decisions. Hey y'all, I'm the Geek Apprentice and welcome to yet another music ranking video. If you're new here, like The Legend of Zelda and its music, I have a ton of other videos about the music of The Legend of Zelda that you can click here to see after watching this one. And if you like them, maybe consider joining the Geekdom by subscribing as we are getting decently close to 10,000. So just a couple of disclaimers before I begin the list. The first is that I am only looking at the overworlds of the 3D Zelda games, hence Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and Breath of the Wild. The other part I wanted to clarify is that I am in fact considering all variations of an overworld, day versus night, riding a horse versus walking. And with that, let's get to it. I know what some of you are thinking. How could you put this one so low? It's a big, beautiful orchestral theme, everything you love. You are right that the sky theme from Skyward Sword has a lot of what I love in music, but as I also say in most of my ranking videos, low doesn't mean dislike, just not my favorite. And that's true here. While the music that accompanies your time riding your Crimson Loftwing is big and beautiful, it actually just feels okay to me, especially in the shadow of the rest on this list. It's not bad, but it's not great to me either. I can't lie, this might be in part due to the fact that the sky doesn't feel that expansive, and yet it also feels like it takes forever when you are flying. I do not begrudge Skyward Sword for this, as I did still enjoy the game quite a bit, but in terms of its overworld theme, it's just not top tier, though certainly still enjoyable. Starting off extremely similar to Ocarina of Time's theme, but then giving us a dramatic turn as it escalates into the beloved original Zelda theme. What's not to love about the music of Majora's Mask's Termina Field? Perfectly mirroring the state of this world and capturing that sense of urgency mixed with the adventure to be had, the theme for the overworld is great. As a quick side note, even though there's not a specific nighttime theme for Majora's Mask's Termina Field, I do appreciate the fact that they made the ambient critter sounds, if you will, very different from Ocarina of Time's Hyrule Field nighttime sounds. They could have easily gotten away with reusing the same sounds, but decided to go the extra mile and change it up. But getting back to where I was, the Termina Field theme is just a little bit too short and thus a tad repetitive. Sure, the overworld is smaller than other titles, so this is understandable, but come on, you know there are some fantastic pieces on this list. Can you blame me? Although it may not be my favorite overworld in terms of activity or exploration, I cannot deny that the day theme for Twilight Princess's Hyrule Field is a great hit. With several variations in its measures, it doesn't end up repeating too quickly, and even when it does kind of repeat, there are little nuances and changes here and there to spice it up. Reminiscent of Ocarina of Time's Hyrule Field, this overworld theme has some nice twists and turns once you are out and about long enough. Even 4 minutes in, there's still new measures to hear. And those twists aren't just great in and of themselves, but do a wonderful job matching the specific kind of dread the world of this game provides in reference to its enemies, and especially the element of Twilight. But there is also the night theme to discuss. While I said the day theme reminded me of the depth Ocarina of Time's overworld had, that title didn't have a nighttime theme. But this game, Twilight Princess, did, and it is so disturbingly wonderful. The music boasts a strong sense of mourning, regret, and dread. The melody and instrumentation alone is enough to evoke this, but the musicians went the extra mile to add that sorrowful lullaby in the background, a voice that sounds very similar to Milan's singing voice from Ocarina of Time, only furthering the very strong connection between the two games. It's not a long piece, but a solid one for sure. Breath of the Wild offers us so much in terms of its overworld music, gifting us 4 main variations depending on the time of day or night, and the mode of transportation, walking or riding a horse. Logistically, this adds up as the world of Hyrule in this installment is the most expansive Zelda to date. We will have to see what happens when the sequel drops spring of 2023. And of course, it wouldn't be a true Zelda game if those in charge of the music didn't just give us good music, but exceeded expectations. On another separate note, no pun intended, I did consider including the themes for caves and the Great Plateau since they are kind of a part of the overworld. But this is going to be long enough, I think. So let's take a look at the 4 themes that made it to number 3 on this list. The basic daytime field theme is so gentle in the most pleasant way. It's got enough of a melody to provide a peaceful background to your expansive exploration of the world, but not so much is going on that you get annoyed by it. For the most part, it's calm and echoes the breath of fresh air we receive with this game's world. But my favorite part is how every now and again there are these subtle, held out eerie notes. Not too eerie, but just enough to remind you of why this world is as quiet as it is. On the flip side, we have the nighttime field theme. While just as gentle as the day theme and arguably not much different, it is in fact a tad creepier. Still calm and peaceful, but with more of those concerning notes throughout. I feel that this theme very well balances out its counterpart. Yes, they are both calm with a touch of eerie, but the nighttime more so due to the inherent fear the night can bring. Now, I have discussed both the daytime and nighttime writing themes a ton on this channel, so for the sake of this video, I'm going to insert a clip from a recent upload of mine called The Best Music of Breath of the Wild, which yes, you can click here to see it after this video if you would like. A set of themes often overlooked due to the nature of the situation in which it's played, but also because eventually it might rarely be heard. Both the day and night themes for the overworld when riding a horse are rich pieces under the guise of being quaint. With an overworld as large as the one in Breath of the Wild, I'm sure it was quite the challenge to compose a theme that wouldn't become annoying after a while. I mean, Koji Kondo admitted a long time ago that that was a difficulty even for Ocarina of Time, and Hyrule Field was a little bit minuscule in comparison to Breath of the Wild's Hyrule Field. The main trick the composers used for Breath of the Wild was giving us different variations depending on the time of day, where you were, or the situation, like the difference between walking through an area or riding a horse in an area. The thing is, because it's meant to be subtle, we forget it's there. And eventually, you may not ride a horse all that often because of the teleportation ability, or if you've obtained the Master Cycle 0. But I would highly encourage going old school and then plugging in some earbuds to let these melodies flow. In addition to their bass theme, both day and night are treated with their own throwback theme via the violin if you've been riding for long enough. Day having Zelda's Lullaby, and night having the main Zelda theme. I'm sure I missed some elements like Easter eggs in certain pieces or what have you, but frankly, there are so many great videos on those topics that I just wanted to focus on a few aspects I personally loved, especially since this is already my longest section of the video. In the end, that's it for my number 3 pick. I know that when you consider the fact that there's no night theme, Twilight Princess should have ranked above, but I've always been a sucker for nostalgia, hence why at number 2, we have the Hyrule Field theme from Ocarina of Time. And I am not sorry. Why should I be? It's just my opinion. I will die on the hill that Ocarina of Time was a phenomenal, practically perfect transition of Zelda going from 2D to 3D. Absolutely amazing, and I heavily commend Koji Kondo and his work and extra effort on the game as a whole, but especially for the purpose of this video, the overworld that is Hyrule. This was his first time having to compose a piece that would be listened to for a great length of time in a way that hadn't been done before. Zelda was already pretty well known for its sense of adventure. How was he to capture that without overwhelming or boring the player? By ensuring the piece had a lot to offer and would take a while to repeat. The further you get into the music, it grows in terrifying intensity, my gosh. This fits as that mirrors the outcome of the game, sometimes to the point where I forget it's the Hyrule Field theme, until it dramatically shifts back to the beginning measures and calms you down, de-escalating into this quite peaceful tune. What a perfect introduction to our first 3D Zelda overworld, our first 3D Hyrule. just can't with this piece. My gosh, it is stunning. It is powerful, it gets your adventurous blood pumping, it's exciting, it's everything the great Sea of the Wind Waker needed to be and more. And it only gets better when you have the quick sail in the HD version. I adored this overworld theme, obviously, as it is #1. Side note, there are tiny elements of this theme that remind me of Pokemon for some reason, specifically Pokemon Stadium for the N64. Yeah, I don't know either. Getting back on track, this music brings me so much joy, so much grinning. I know there's no night theme, it does repeat quite a bit, but that just tells you how much I personally enjoy it. #1 was never a question for this theme on this list. I do not think it's risky to say that one of the main reasons we love traversing the worlds of Zelda games is because their overworlds are so well thought out from a gameplay perspective, but especially because of the music that joins our journey. Even if some worlds aren't as interesting as others, the music makes the trips that much easier. And let's be honest, I will take any excuse to gush about Zelda music. Thanks for watching this video, y'all. If you enjoyed it and are new here, consider joining the geekdom by subscribing. I try to release a new video each week, roughly each week, and even though I've been on a hiatus due to work, I usually try to stream once a week as well, typically Friday evenings around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right now, we are in the middle of Twilight Princess HD and Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Keep going back and forth. Eventually I'll finish one of them, right? Thank you so much to everyone who supports the channel via a channel membership or via Patreon, especially those patrons in the highly end tier like Joking Batman, Trevor, McToppler, and Code and Data. But anyway, that's all for today. Thank you for watching.